You know him as Kunta Kinte in the ABC miniseries Roots.
Help Kunta be free.
Or Lieutenant Commander Geordi LaForge in Star Trek, The Next Generation.
We ship down, then kick hard into warp 9.
But perhaps he's best known for hosting the award-winning Reading Rainbow. I can be anything. The kids' educational series on PBS. As America's most prolific storyteller, inspiring children for more than 2 decades to fall in love with books. As an author himself with his own book club, digital library for kids, and social media reading sessions.
This was precisely the kind of breach Echo had been sent to Apata to find.
Actor, producer, director LeVar Burton shares the chapters of his life and how he sees literacy as the key to freedom and equality in America.
Scream and shout!
LeVar Burton, he is today's LA Story. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez, and we are coming to you from my home in Sherman Oaks, and I am thrilled to welcome LeVar Burton. It's so great to welcome you.
It's a pleasure, Giselle. Your home is beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. And you're a poignant storyteller above all else.
Would you like me to read you a story? I know just the one to help you feel better.
You know the value of that, and I just want to congratulate you for your immense success just in all mediums.
Thank you. I feel in every respect that I was born to do what I do, and I feel like I'm part of a great and noble tradition of storytelling as a way of helping us, humanity, navigate this thing we call life. And that's, for me, that's the real value of the arts. They remind us about what it means to be human. They remind us of the importance of coming from a place of warmth and heart and openness. I'm so lucky to do what it is I do.
And we're lucky that you share that passion. You know, let's go back to your childhood. You had an incredible matriarch as your mother, Irma Jean Christian.
That's right.
She was an English teacher and obviously infused in you the importance of reading, of literature to widen your view of the world.
Exactly, that was the point.
You'll find many helpers on your road to tomorrow.
By reading, by developing a love of literature and the written word, it literally unlocked the world to me, and that was her gift.
And also, it was a way of leveling the playing field.
Well, as an educator, you know, she knew that the best weapon that she could put in my hands in a world that would be hostile to my presence sometimes simply because of the color of my skin, that the best thing she could do was to provide me with the best education. That being the leveler of the playing field so that I could compete in a world where the expectations of me would be different than those of what I call my melanin-challenged classmates.
At 13 years old, with all this love of reading and widening your world, you were called to the seminary, grew up in Sacramento. What called you to want to be a priest?
It was the idea of service.
That was big in your family as well.
Big value. I really felt like I had the calling at the time, and I did.
So you're a sophomore then at St. Pius, and you're cast as an archbishop, and you start to read your sermon, and you see that the audience actually did the sign of the cross with you, so you realize the stage had as much power as the pulpit.
The stage had as much power as the pulpit, exactly right. The whole idea of inspiration, from the Latin inspirare, to breathe in, right? That connection, that divine connection that we get from that expression is really real. So I think that the two aren't that far apart from one another. Art provides a really important sustenance to the community, as does spirituality.
All right, so you're at USC, you're studying theater arts, and you audition for the part of Kunta Kinte in the iconic miniseries Roots with Cicely Tyson, the late Cicely Tyson, and the late Maya Angelou, a great author and activist. They become your mentors, you get cast in that role. How game-changing, and please tell me you were at least surprised by that.
Yes, I was floored. Floored.
I mean, out of the gate.
Yeah, it was my first professional audition, and I booked the job.
You were meant to play that role.
I believe that to be true. From the very first moment I was exposed to the character, I knew who he was. He was in me, right? I related to everything that I read on the page.
Kunta Kinte.
Like what most?
The undeniable, indomitable desire to be free and unencumbered. Growing up as a black man in America, or a black young man in America, I knew that I was living in a system that, in which I was not free. The blood that my ancestors shed, the lynchings, the beatings during the Civil Rights Movement, all of that to make a world where I could feel more free. And yes, there were freedoms that were granted to black people. However, the underlying, as we have seen today, the underlying ugliness is still there.
At the time, you said this was such a seismic, series because it helped black and white people reframe who we thought each other was, and that was so important at the time.
It was. It was an important step that this country take. I feel like it was a step on the journey that we are to perfect this union. I grew up knowing that I loved this country and that I belonged here. And the idea that there were those who treated me as if I did not was really hurtful, really painful.
How would you define the times we now find ourselves in, where race again is forcing us to have a reckoning about who we are in America and who belongs?
We keep coming back to this moment because we haven't done the work necessary.
What is the work that would heal this nation?
Giselle, I wish I knew. I believe that it has everything to do with the conversations that we have with each other, and I know that these conversations are scary, but we have to have them. I believe storytelling has something to offer us in this moment. I believe that if I sit in the presence of someone with whom I disagree vehemently, and they me, I believe if I can sit in their presence long enough to tell them my story, and for me to listen to theirs, to listen without judgment, to just listen, we will find commonality in each other's stories. And in that commonality, there's the seeds for understanding. And it is understanding that leads to compassion. When I understand your life and the things you're struggling with, and compassion is the doorway to empathy, literally feeling through your heart the pain of another. And when we exhibit and demonstrate empathy to one another on a regular basis, we will and can heal this country. But we have to look at each other's experience through open-hearted eyes. And that is oftentimes not easy for us to do as human beings.
You hopeful?
I'm an Aquarian.
Says it all.
I eat hope for breakfast. Yes, I'm hopeful. Yes, I'm hopeful.
That first out-of-the-gate debut role as Kunta Kinte earned you a nomination for Best Actor. I mean, that's just out of the gate. And then your second role, of real note, to play Geordi, Lieutenant Geordi, for Star Trek: The Next Generation. Come on. And all the themes you just discussed of unity and diversity and finding, compassion within a new universe are present in the Star Trek series. Is that what drew you to it?
Well, absolutely. What the writer, Gene Roddenberry, said to me was that when the future came, there was a place for me, and that was affirming as well as validating.
Thing to say, yeah.
And I can't tell you how important representation is. Representation matters.
To be it, you have to see it.
Absolutely. Or be able to imagine it. But in order to do that, you have to know that that's possible for you, right? You have to have somebody teach you the power of your imagination. I think that literacy is the key to being free. If you are literate, then you're free. Your mind cannot be imprisoned.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.